So, as a young fan, I remember hearing the rumours that you end up with some sort of heart issue, and that's why you end up getting phased out of Demolition. But there's apparently more to the story than that. So, take us through.
Well, it began with all of my years. I was told by the physician, all of my years going back and forth to Japan and having sushi, especially shellfish. Every piece of shellfish that you have, there's iodine. The iodine stays in your system for years and years and years. So the more you eat, the more it accumulates. And he equated it to a guy taking cocaine. He said you start out with sniffing a line of cocaine. Pretty soon you build up this resistance and you take 3 lines and you 4 lines. And the next time you take it, after years, you take one and it kills you because it kills you from the internally.
Hmm.
Years and years and years, 15 years going to Japan, eating shellfish in particular, shrimp, sushi, lobster, oysters, so forth, all this iodine buildup. My wife and I went to go see uh, a movie, and I can't remember the name of the movie. Hunt for Red October,
Yes.
which is which I still haven't seen. We go to our favorite uh, Chinese restaurant. I have shrimp and lobster sauce. Feel a little tingling. Go across the parking lot to the theater. Get in the theater, and I'm burning up from my neck up. Told my wife, I said, I don't feel good. I go out. I remember putting my arm on a steel door. It was cold. And I passed out. And the guy's coming in. I pass out right on top of him. I squash this poor little guy. Long story short, I'm looking, but I'm out of a body experience. I'm looking. My wife's holding my head up. And it seems like it's forever. And I leave my body and I have this sensation and I'm going up. Quiet, peaceful. I'm seeing stars. And I hear off in the distance. And there again, it seems like it's minutes. There's no pulse. Can't get a blood pressure. I'm keep going. I'm going up, up, and I see a light way up in the distance. But it's peaceful and quiet. Stars all around me. This guy has no pulse. I can't find a blood pressure. I'm thinking, the hell, I have a blood pressure. I take pills. Can't be me. So I hear him. He says, I got a pulse. Got a blood pressure. What is it? 25 over 15. I said, that guy's dead. I turn around. I'm back in my body. But I didn't move. I didn't move. My wife said I never moved. And I'm looking, but there again, I'm not moving. And I look over and I'm hooked up. Both lines are flat. So I said, well, insurance pay for the house. Car's paid for. I better call Vince. I'm not going to make WrestleMania. And I'm putting these things. There's this gray ooze. I got 2 file cabinets. And all the drawers open and I got a broom. And then there's gray ooze, which I later found out that's things that I have to get done. And I'm pushing them into the file cabinets, but there's too much. And I'm pushing it and it keeps coming. It keeps coming. And then the blood pressure comes. He says something. And then the line goes beep, beep. Both lines beeped again. Says he's back. So then here I'm thinking wrestling again. Says we got to get him in the ambulance. So they had put me on this. They said we got to lift him on a gurney. So I'm thinking, well, here's the gimmick. I remember watching a deal with superstar Billy Graham. They lift him up on a gurney and they tip the gurney over and he falls on the other side. I'm thinking that's what's going to happen to me. The ambulance is open. They put me on the gurney. They rush me to the ambulance. My wife's standing there crying. And they're not even thinking about grabbing her and bringing her in. So I reached over my head, grabbed her arm, and she comes in the ambulance with me. We go to the ambulance, get to the hospital, and then after that, I go through a bunch of tests. They thinking about a pacemaker. They're thinking about this and that. You might not be able to wrestle again. So what they did, they gave me a series of tests. They went into my heart through my groin. The doctor, the mad scientist, he's the one that developed this technique. They go in, they charge each chamber of the heart. And he said, Billy says, he's on his headphones like I've got up at behind a monitor. He said, I tried to kill you three times already. He says, you're okay. So they said, we're gonna try a pacemaker, but before this, he said, we're gonna give you some medication. What they had to do is jumpstart the heart because it's erratic. So from that, I have a little bit of residue AFib that I've got still yet.
So how do you? I mean, is it supposition that you think it was from the sushi, or did they do blood tests and find that you had like
No, that's what he said.
levels?
Yeah, he said the iodine level was so. Consequently, knows no shellfish, which for a period of time I missed, but I don't now. I have a Benadryl capsule injection I keep all the time. After that, I got allergic to bee stings and wasps. So I had 2 reactions, went to the hospital both times. So I have an EpiPen I carry with me all the time.
But I mean, you've still been wrestling for, on the indies especially, and for what, 2 decades, 2.5 decades, probably plus afterwards. So,
yeah.
I mean, the doctors at some point must have said, "Hey, you can just carry on with your life as normal."
Oh yeah, yeah. They said I could. They said I could carry out. I mean, that was their premise at the beginning. They thought maybe you couldn't wrestle, but once they gave me the medication, it jump started again right away. He said I was in there for a week, did all kind of rehabilitation after that for about 6 weeks, and he said, "Oh, you're okay." He says, "Go back to wrestling. Just don't eat any shellfish.
Stay out of the oceans." What did Vince say when? I mean, did you go and tell him about this? Was it?
Oh, he called me when I was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He called me. That's when they first had the idea to transition into the office position.
Mm. What was the idea with bringing Crush in? So obviously,
as a replacement, there again, you jump a little too quickly. Instead of saying, "Hey, give the guys off, give Barry off 3 or 4 weeks, we'll be back full go," they had to replace me. So now we got 3 Demolition, and so there again, too quick.